My background was in journalism. So let's say, do you know what? These days I look at what I did during my journalism days, and the whole point of it is storytelling. And you don't even realise at the time, but writing headlines is your hook these days. Your intro is that first 3 seconds of a video. And if you can write a news story, you can definitely translate that over to this new kind of way we consume content.
And in fact, we should say, because something we talk about, both you and I were in a particular form of journalism, which was news and story brokering, where we had to package and pitch stories and place them in national newspapers. And we both knew of each other back then. It's a particularly tough form of journalism, I think, isn't it? But
yeah.
Great training for the work that we now do and you've done with Elle Sera.
Can I just say, my first job doing that, I used to get £850 a month. And you know how tough that is, and also how dangerous it is, and also that everybody hates you, and also
this is this former reality.
For
everyone hates you.
For everyone, £850 a month, I have to knock on your door, bother you while you're eating your tea. And
normally, while something terrible's happened to you, you wouldn't be there.
It's just the worst. And I look back now and think the world has changed. I can't imagine anybody doing that at 20, 25.
Because it's
dangerous, and people, like, kids are just like wallflowers. But my God, was that a training ground for entrepreneurship? And if you can do that, then you can definitely hold your own in a room of people.
And in fact, we'll come back to it, because some of those skills that you learnt back then have directly contributed to the success of Elle Sera today, and some of the ways you've achieved cut through, which is something everybody watching will want to know about. But first of all, when did you start the brand? How and why?
Yeah, so I've always had a particular interest in health, wellness, mainly selfishly. I just want to look great, feel great. Yeah, so if you can monetize you feeling great all the time, brilliant. So I really was interested in that. And I suppose whatever you're truly passionate about, then you make it work, don't you?
Yeah.
So I started a business running health retreats. And it was there that I spotted, even though I was quite young at this time, 29, 30, I spotted this older generation of women who were like 40s, mid-40s, 50s, who were perimenopause and I didn't even know these words at that time, perimenopause and menopausal. But they used to go to these boot camps where they would like lose £9 in a week. I think it was brilliant. And I was just like, it's not brilliant. And there was there would be guys at these like retreats who would say, you're eating too much and you're not working out enough, you're not doing enough. And I was a bit like, it's also to do with her metabolism is totally different and her hormonal changes are going up and down. But these guys didn't know that. I set up my own retreat where we really educated women on their hormones and how that was impacting them at different stages of life. And actually we spent more time in the classroom than we actually did working out, and movement was a lot different because women's joints and stuff, like, they really get inflamed when their estrogen drops. That is not talked about on these boot camps. So we were really cutting edge at that time. Anyway, COVID hit, couldn't run the business, and I thought, how can I support my ladies at home? And it was one message I got off Facebook from one of my customers, and she was like, what can I do for my libido? I was like, I don't know, but let me look into it. Looked into it. And I don't know what even gave me the balls to do this, but I started thinking, like, is there a female Viagra out there? I don't know. But I started looking at all these things, right? I didn't realise I wanted to make a supplement at that time. I was just recommending ingredients to somebody. Said, let me know how you get on. And she was really pleased with it. And then I thought, God, this is a bigger issue than I thought. I don't know. Started looking at what else did you do in lockdown? Started looking at a lot of Google data and stuff like that, and realised it was actually a big thing. So I thought, maybe there is something in this. I look back now and I still can't believe I had the balls and tenacity to actually something that I had no experience in. How to run a business, how to get a customer, like none of that. Like, I'd never had any training, didn't know what I was doing. But I just kept putting one foot in front of the other, and I didn't look at the mountain I had to climb. I just looked at the next step in front of me, which was pick a brand name or, find a website handle that was free or an Instagram handle or whatever. It wasn't thought out. There's no business plan. There still isn't. But and at this time, everybody says, how did you come up with the golden decanter? And I was like, you know what? And I could kiss the journalist who wrote this on the BBC website. But I was like doing some emails and I saw popped up this news report about, this was in COVID, and obviously there was germs everywhere and everybody wanted antibacterial everything. And there was an article about copper and brass being antibacterial. And I was like, wow, I didn't realise that. And I thought, that's why they use it on light switches and handles and stuff like that, because it's antibacterial, and they were going to implement it in hospitals. And I was like, oh, didn't know that. So I started looking up brass and copper antibacterial materials. It can get rid of MRSA on touch. And I thought, wow, okay, maybe if we make the container, the packaging, a refillable, which is good for sustainability, out of these materials, which would be really expensive but cool, then that'll be a really healthy place to put your kind of supplements. Plus copper and brass are minerals that your body actually needs. Having traces of that in your supplements anyway is great. And that's why I came up with that. Again, it was just that one bit of information that I saw that sparked an entire kind of identity for the brand that I hadn't even realised.
And what about the name Elle Sera? Because it's an unusual name, and I think it's it's a lovely name.
Sometimes I regret it.
Do you?
Especially when people go, Elle Sera. And I'm like...
people do say Elle Sera, don't they?
Oh, Christ, yeah. It does my head in, but I'm like, it's Que Sera, Sera. So... how did I come up with the name? I was trying to find something that was... I knew I didn't want anything that would look well in Holland & Barrett. That is not what I'm trying to achieve. Look at the brand. You'll know that's not what I'm trying to achieve. I'm trying to bring this kind of like luxury French, like fashion house vibes to women's health supplements, but back it up with some clout in the fact that the products are scientifically incredible, clean, premium, but also make them look good. Yeah, so the name She Will Be, I typed it in French into Google. And I was like, yeah, Elle Sera, I can see that. Yeah, okay, I'll go for it. And then I found the domain name. It was there. And I was like, okay, let's run with it. So that's what I did. There's no more thought than that. There's no testing or learning or A/B testing of, oh, hi guys, which name do you prefer? It was none of that. It was just like, no, that's what I'm going for.
And when we first met, I think the brand was quite bold and it wasn't the big red lips on the website, and it was quite sensual in many ways, wasn't it? And you've really moved it on since then, but while still keeping some of that vibe of luxury. So how has it evolved over time?
Yeah, so it was very sexually charged as well at one time, which is fine because we really lent into the libido aspect. Don't forget, like, I pitched this as a female Viagra. I picked the ingredients with that in mind. And not only that, we use clinical data to ascertain the dosages as well. Yeah, women should be talking about their sexual health, their hormonal health, and something that we don't talk about, but it's something that they think about because I could see it from the Google data. So while they might not have been shouting about it, I know internally they do want to feel 21 again. There's nothing better than when you just... Pardon my French. Sorry, Triffin listeners. When you're like 21 and shagging about all the time, that feels good. You want to feel that. You want to reclaim that when you're in your 40s as well. And that's like the sass and the sex. And that's what kind of we wanted to bring to this brand.
Yeah.
Yes, we have moved it on a bit.
But you have lots of customers talking to you about how it's helped them save their marriages,
Absolutely.
Save their sex lives.
Yeah, including really well-known ones.
Yeah. So that line, the female Viagra, that was the first bit of breakthrough media you got, wasn't it? Which I think, did that come from the background of journalism in terms of how you're going to take this product to market, and you end up with a big story on the Daily Mail website?
Yeah, exactly. So it was that headline. Again, that hook. That was it. And again, I didn't know if that's what I was doing, but I thought of that on a drive down to Kent. And I thought, okay, and that's how I was going to spin it around. And I remember launching the product one night, 7 o'clock, 16th of December, 2020. I'll never forget it. Made £1,000 in my first night, and my first customer is Nikki. And then about...
Was that after the Daily Mail article?
No, this was like, I just launched the brand. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to write a news article. So I had an idea. I rang my pal up at the Daily Mail. He was like political guy. He was like, this is not for me. But I'll tell you what, let me chuck it over to female. It might be for them. I was like, they're like, have you got any stats and data? And I was like, yeah, we've grown by like 400%. Now, which was true because we were on day 14 now. From day 1 to day 14, we had grown by 400%. So I wasn't lying. They didn't know how old the company was. And I was like, women are reclaiming their love in lockdown. Like, that's what's happening. We've seen a boom in sales because women want to... Everyone's in lockdown. Everyone was having sex in lockdown. There were so many babies created in lockdown.
Yeah,
so there's virtually nothing else to do apart from bake some banana bread and have some wine and get it on. So... It was a great headline, great story for them, etc.
And what impact did it have on the brand?
Phenomenal. And I genuinely...
So you were 2 weeks in at this point?
2 weeks in. I had to bring in reinforcements to help me pack orders. And bearing in mind, I started the business with a £50,000 bounce back loan and a tiny bit of money that I won on Bear Grylls. And I did half of it in one day.
Wow.
Recouped half of it in one day, and we broke even in 6 weeks. And then the next person on the phone was Selfridges. Now, people spend their entire frigging lives trying to get into Selfridges. And
Yeah.
3 months later, I was in Selfridges on Oxford Street. And I was like, fucking hell. You know what I mean? You can imagine my delusions of grandeur at this point of thinking, oh my God, I'm a genius. I was born for this. Could you imagine?